Welcome to Mo Banshee's Lair. This show has been altered to conform with YouTube's rules on copyright. The music has been removed in some of the commercials. I hope you enjoy it, and God bless you and yours.
This is Dreamstream Radio. Welcome to Mo Banshee's Music Box, where it's all Mo Bana.
U.S. Marines rise early, work hard, and follow orders. They're creatures of routine, but one thing is certain to change at military bases like Camp Pendleton. Soon, gay service members can be open about their identities and not fear dismissal.
The repeal has already happened, okay, but the implementation hasn't happened yet.
The 17-year-old policy, commonly known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell, is now a part of military history. It held as long as gays didn't reveal their orientation in active service, they could remain in uniform. In this case, Marines are getting briefed by an officer about what's changing.
There will be no discharge based upon your sexual orientation.
And what's not.
The United States government isn't trying to change what you believe, okay?
Still, everyone must follow commands, even if their religious beliefs condemn homosexuality.
My religion is being put aside just so that I can accept, someone else's preference sexually.
Is anybody telling you what to believe? Since it's a personal, private matter, it's not really open for discussion. Nobody's trying to change your mind. Nobody's trying to change their mind.
Before a packed auditorium, members of the 1st Marine Logistics Group had plenty of questions.
What comes first, religion or sexuality? Because if somebody is very religious and they are, against it in several ways, are they gonna? Is it bad for them to go say, "Hey, I don't want to be a roommate with that person because of their sexuality"?
Harassment and discrimination based on sexual orientation is now against military law. There will be no segregation based on it either.
We already serve with gays and lesbians and bisexuals. I mean, it's just a matter of them being able to talk about it now.
Some welcomed the transition, some expressed unease.
People live in the barracks and have to share the same rooms with them and shower with them. That's, personally, it would make me uncomfortable.
The lifting of the ban on gays openly serving in the armed forces could go into full effect by the end of this year. John Moan, Associated Press, Camp Pendleton, California.
Welcome to Mo Banshee's Lair, everybody. We're having a little bit of a problem with the Skype, and our guest is out in California, and I'm not. But I want to welcome you all to Mo Banshee's Lair. This is a special edition because our guest wasn't able to make it on a Tuesday, and it is Monday, Thursday, which is a sad day. Tomorrow is Good Friday, and we all know what happened. It doesn't get changed. It's the same thing happened. You can't change history. That's just the way it is. Christ was crucified, so everybody just remember that he already died. You don't have to reenact it. You don't have to do anything weird. He did it all. It's a done deal. All you have to do is be a good person. So, but I hope everybody's holidays are blessed. If you don't celebrate your any holidays, I hope your days are blessed. If you don't believe in God, I'll just put in a little prayer for you anyway. But our guest is on the side, and he's waiting, and his name is Greg White, and he has a book called The Pink Marine out. And Greg White, welcome to my lair.
Thank you for having me. I am in California. It's a gorgeous day here.
Yeah, it's kind of overcast, which is fitting with Monday, Thursday here in New Jersey. But I'm by the water, so whenever a storm brews in, it's
you're
kind
down
of
by the shore, as they say.
Yeah, I'm right on the coast. You know what I mean? We're right on the coast of New Jersey, so
Beautiful.
it's kind of crappy out tonight. It's a perfect Monday, Thursday type of day. We want to extend our deepest sympathies to the people that were victims of the bombings in the airport. You know what? There are bad people in this world, and unfortunately, when they get it in their head, they're going to do something bad, they do it. Just, kind of try to understand that they're assholes, and, we'll get them. We'll get them. How does that sound? Does that sound diplomatic enough?
That is very diplomatic. Everybody gets it in the end.
Yeah, everybody gets it in the end. One way or another. You have a book out. To begin with, tell everybody about yourself, because you're a blogger, you're an author, you've been on the Food Network, you're a food critic. I mean, you do everything. Tell everybody about yourself.
You just did. That was a great introduction. I've written a book about my time in the Marine Corps. It's called The Pink Marine. It's just been out for a few weeks. And it is a humorous and heartwarming tale of my time in enlisted boot camp at Parris Island. I went to Parris Island. There's 2 boot camps for the Marine Corps. There's either Parris Island or San Diego.
Right.
And I went to Parris Island. I enlisted with my best friend. He called me one day after our freshman year of high school, and he said that he was joining the Marine Corps. He was going to spend his summer in boot camp and in Parris Island, at Parris Island. And all I really heard was summer and camp. And I said, I'll go with you. And he said, you're crazy. You've never run a mile. You've never done anything physical in your life. You don't know anything about the military. They'll eat you alive. And what we both forgot and didn't even think about it when I went down to enlist was that I'm gay now. I was gay then. We both knew it. He's straight. And back then it was illegal. It was way before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And so we totally forgot that part. So we had a great time at the recruiter's office getting that over on them. And then I didn't pass the physical. I didn't weigh enough. And I got around that obstacle. That was my first Marine Corps mission. You'll read about that in the book. That's sort of the opening story. And then the rest of the book, I get to talk about the if you saw the film Full Metal Jacket, that was the most accurate film depiction
Absolutely.
Of Marine Corps boot camp. And my book, some critics have been fantastic, calling it the most accurate written description of Marine Corps boot camp.
Yeah, Teddy was in the Marines back in 1951. He ended up being on the battleship New Jersey in Korea. And he always tells people his father was in the Army during World War I. His brother was in World War II in the Navy. So when they came out and said, what are you going to go in? He thought the Army for his father. And then somebody came out and said, we need so many Marines. And he thought, here, I won't hurt anybody's feelings. So he raised his hand and passed the test for the Marines. He says, and I thought I was in a concentration camp for 3 months.
Well, that's a good analogy. It is. It does at times feel like prison. It's certainly oppressive. It's a very inspiring and uplifting time. By the way, my voice is a little trashed because I'm in the studio recording the audio version this week. I have one more day. And the funny thing about that is that I have to do some of the dialogue as Marine Corps drill instructors. And then I have to switch right back to my voice. So there's a lot of, when you hear the audiobook, it's going to sound, like, you privates better get up and drop and give me 20, he said. So I've got to flip back to my narrating voice, and that's been it's a vocal gymnastics act. But I'm having a great time telling those stories in that. I've had a great time on book tour. I'm off this month of tour, and then I resume mid-April. So,
what a lot of people don't understand, because you brought up the topic of Marine Corps drill sergeants and that, is if they train you and you die, it's almost like a black mark on their record, because they're training you to fight and live.
Everything's on their head.
Everything is on at the first thing. Who trained you? Where did you come from? And that's why Full Metal Jacket, the gunny, Arlie is so compelling in that because they're not there for you to like them. They're there to strip you down, remove your identity, and put the Marine Corps identity in you so that you are going to survive. Like I say, failure is not an option. So yeah, they get absolutely ruthless with you.
They
Teddy,
gave you a speech. I'm sure that Teddy got this back in '51, and I know your son probably got this when he was in the service as well. But they give you a speech very early on that says, "I am your mother, I am your father, I am your entire family right now," and they are responsible. That's the reason that I didn't pass the physical. It wasn't because they didn't think that I could do it. It's just on their head if I fail, and I went in with the deficiency. So everybody, it's especially now. There's even more paperwork and hurdles to jump through. But it's a crazy branch of the service. We are the most intense, and I'm proud to be one of the most intense. I do like to be the best.
Yeah.
But I will also tell you that all of that training and all of that stuff that your husband went through and your son went through and that I went through, it is necessary because they're teaching us and training us to, without thinking about it, without resisting, commit the most vile act against mankind, which is murder.
Right.
That is our job.
Yeah. That old saying, war is hell, is not a joke. You're being asked to go in and very likely kill a human being, and it's kind of scary because the safeguard is your officers. They're your safeguard. They're the safety on the weapon, and you are the weapon now.
That rifle range time is no joke. Everything is taken very, very seriously. They even ease up a bit on the harshness of your treatment because they're aware that they need to keep this very, very serious and somber.
Well, you were in 79, and Teddy, when we have two sons that were Marines. Matthew went in 94, and he decided we didn't want them to go into the Marines because we know them, and we like, are you out of your minds? And Matthew decided to go to basic training with his hair hanging down to his rear end. And for 3 weeks, they did not let him shave his hair, wash his hair, do anything. And anytime someone would break down crying, they'd say, "Take your troubles to Jesus. He's sitting over there." And he says, "I was never so happy to get my hair cut off of my head." He ended up being an honor Marine.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a very good story. I'm really interested in that story. They do want you to be individuals, but they also want to make you into one individual,
one unit.
But they also do want to make sure that your individualness is as harsh and sharp and rough as they can get it. So they're not about to ever not single someone out. They single somebody out, and they will hammer that person into the ground if they have to build them back up. They don't lose. Nobody misses out.
No. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I was at a book event in Miami 2 weeks ago, and a drill instructor came to my reading, and he was telling me after that while he was a private, not while he was a drill instructor, but when he was a private, he's Jewish, and his drill instructor made him go through the gas chamber twice with his platoon, and then made him go through again 2 weeks later with a random platoon. And he told him, he said, "I heard you Jews like getting gassed."
Oh,
that's legal.
Yeah. They. You know what? And this is something I don't think the average American understands. Yeah, they are ruthless. They will call you the CUNT word. If you're a lady Marine, they will call you everything. They will badger you. But you see, that's nothing compared to what the enemy is going to do if they get you.
Exactly. I will not meet a meaner or tougher person in my life. now that I've gone through the Marine Corps.
Right.
That's almost a comforting feeling. Like
Yeah.
you said, war is hell. I have seen hell in the face of my very own trainers.
Yeah. You can't be afraid, and they have to build this individual who is going to be tortured if they're captured, and they're going to try to get information out of you, and you have to be more afraid of what you're going to do to your other fellow Marines than what the enemy is going to do to you. And that's, when people say, here's an off topic. I told you, I kind of wander, but it all comes together. Teddy, it was being politically correct time back in the late 80s. And Teddy worked with his best friend, Kenny Brenzer. They both worked out of the same office. And they would, write each other. You know what I mean? Because Kenny was in the Air Force. Teddy was in the Marines.
Yes.
They would write each other. And they would get into calling names. And so he'd turn around and say, "You stupid Polak." Well, the manager comes out and says, "You can't do that anymore." And Teddy says, "Why?" He says, "Because, it's being insensitive and politically incorrect, politically incorrect. We can't do that anymore." So Teddy looked at Kenny and says, "Okay, you stupid fuck." And Kenny looked at the manager and says, "I really didn't mind him calling me a stupid Polak."
See, nothing is sacred, and you've got the. We should tell your audience, by the way, that my book is a funny book as well. I know there is a lot of serious stuff in there, absolutely. But one of the I used my television background and my sitcom writing experience to make sure that I entertained and told these stories in a humorous way. Nothing that I was involved in the military when I was right in the situation, or very little of it, was funny. But taking some time back and stepping back and looking at it, there were some hysterical moments. Now, there were some hysterical moments as it was going on. There's no question. I mean, I get to write the story of 70 guys. Not just, the story isn't just about me. I developed the characters for everybody in the platoon, all of my drill instructors, and there were some absolute nut jobs in there. And, I got to go in with my best friend. If anything, I get the pleasure of writing a book about that friendship. We're still best friends after all these years. We both live here in Los Angeles. And I get to tell those stories. Everybody that I served with came into the military with their own unique personality. For those 3 months, we were dressed alike, we walked alike, we talked alike, our haircuts were all the same. But there were times and moments when we all got to share, really, really fun and interesting aspects of all of our personalities.
Yeah. I have a story. Matthew, it was like 3 a.m, and one of the guys could not pack his bag right. And so the drill instructor kept making them dump it out and everything. And finally, at 3 a.m, Matthew ran over, dumped the kid's bag, and repacked it right. And the drill instructor said, "Now you can all go to bed," because it's about being a team. And once Matthew understood, it's not about just him doing it right. It's making sure the other guy gets it right. He understood where they were going mentally with them. It's like herding cattle. You want them all to go through that small wooden fence together and work as a team.
We got that great saying. We got that saying during World War II, gung-ho. It literally means work together.
Yeah. So you grow up in Texas, and you're gay. And I mean, that's not new. People have been gay. I got my doubts about Adam, to be honest there. I've heard some stories about him with, the unicorns and stuff from creation and all. So he wasn't all he was cracked up to be, but gay is not new.
Well, he did pick a pretty fancy leaf to cover.
Yes. Yeah. He was stylish.
Yeah,
he was stylish. Yeah. But the thing is that it's not new. there have been gay men and there have been women warriors since the dawn of time. And, it's not a new concept. Queen Maeve of Ireland, there have been Irish, women, and every country has them. So that's not new. I guess I don't know when it became a big issue of being gay in the military. It used to just be son, do you have a gun? That's it. You're in the military. We're fighting a revolution. We don't care. There were women who dressed as men during the revolution and the Civil War.
I did not know that. That's fascinating, just so that they could serve their country. I guess our early example of that was Joan of Arc, I suppose.
Yeah, well, what happened is they didn't have men to take care of them. So, maybe their menfolk were killed or whatever happened. So the only way you stay alive is you disguise yourself as a man. You go into, and Whitney Hamilton has a great movie out about that. I think it's Firefly, something like that. But you dress like a man. You become a man. You all stink, so nobody knows the difference whether you're a man or not. You drop your registry a little bit, and get a little bit more deeper to try to hide it. But, when did it become a huge problem? I
don't have that specific answer, but I can tell you that I know that as society became aware of men beginning to live in an open manner about their sexuality, the military was one of the first to put the lid on it. And I have to tell you that it's not always from the military brass that is putting that lid on. It's often from the general public and constituents writing to their Congress, people in political action committees, and other things that are asking for that. And they're not in it. They're not serving. They're not fighting. I can guarantee you, from a person who walked in that uniform for 6 years, that we had, and all of my friends and co-Marines felt the same way, or at least everybody that I dealt with in the military. We had a bigger job to do. We had a bigger task at hand. We had actual battles to fight.
Yeah.
So,
you have bigger eggs to fry than that crap.
That's right. And I served with some great supportive guys. Some knew, some didn't know, but it was never, I went on to officer candidate school as well. After I was in the enlisted Marines for a while, I went to OCS in Quantico, and every weekend you get to go into Georgetown for Liberty for a few hours for overnight, and they ask us to bunk up and share hotel rooms because there's so many of us. We would wipe out Washington's occupancy rate.
Right.
And so we sleep 4 to a room, and the first week I was a little nervous. I thought, maybe nobody's going to sign up on the roster to bunk in a room with me. Maybe they'll think, God, I don't want to sleep with that gay guy. And I put my name on the list, and I was the first one to have, I'm very proud to say, proud of my brethren for doing this. I didn't do anything.
Right.
But I was the first one to have all of my slots filled up, and we just had an awesome time. And, you get a brotherhood and a bond and a sense of camaraderie in the Marine Corps specifically that I like to be overjoyed with when I sense that in the civilian world. I get it. I see it. I work on a television show. A lot of times that crew and that gang has that same bond. Were I to work in a regular office somewhere, I would hope, and it would give me only the truest fulfillment and sense that I was in a positive place if my workplace environment were always like that.
Yeah. You know what? There's no atheist in the foxhole. Like I said, if you can shoot straight and carry my rear end out of there, and I can shoot straight and carry your rear end out of there, that's all that counts.
Yeah, those bullets buzzing over our heads, we had a lot more on our mind.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. So what did your family say when you joined the Marines?
Well, they thought I was crazy. I didn't have, I was raised by a single mother, and so I wasn't raised with a father in my life, and the father that it was my birth father wasn't in the military. My mother's father was not in the military either. He was hard of hearing. He contributed in different ways during World War II. He did some carpentry for home bases here, but that's all he could do. And,
right.
And because of his hearing loss, So I didn't have anybody, tales of military history were not passed down the table along with the mashed potatoes in my family. So I didn't have any point of reference. So my mother did think I was crazy, and she told me that I had no idea what I was doing. Of course, she was right. I didn't have
No, absolutely.
But you know how kids are. You not only are a parent, but you've been a kid. You know that when your parents tell you not to do something, you kind of want to do it even more.
Mm-hmm.
So, and plus, again, I just thought I was going away to summer camp. How bad could it be?
How bad could it be? Take your troubles to Jesus, kid.
Well, I thought I'd end up with one of those hand-laced wallets, maybe learn to improve my archery skills or be a better canoeer. I'd been to camp.
Right. Teddy had a gnat fly in his eye, and the drill instructor, of course, you're not allowed to do anything to that gnat because it's been there before you were. So Teddy's eye is draining and watering, and he's trying to move his eye to get rid of it. And the drill instructor says to him, "Are you winking at me, boy?" Yeah. And he's going, "No, sir, I'm not winking at you." He says, "Well, don't you kill that gnat. It's been here before you."
I can't believe he's got such a similar story. I just read the story yesterday for Audible about the time that the drill instructor watched a sand flea in my ear. And that sand flea was driving me crazy. And I wasn't about to move, and he knew it was. He was watching it. He was in my face, and it was absolute agony.
Yeah. It's changed from Teddy's time. They actually had one of the recruits die because they were standing on the tarmac, and he died of heat stroke when Teddy was there.
It's horrible. That is horrible.
When we went for Matthew, because he was the honor Marine, when we went for Matthew, Teddy's looking, he says, "Well, where are the tents?" And Matthew says, "We sleep in the buildings." And he says, "Well, we slept in tents," So each generation has had it a little bit easier, even though they don't believe it. It has been easier. But the one thing that's always been constant is there have always been gays in the military. And I always joke and say, you want to see something nasty, get a platoon of female Marines, lady Marines, and they're all on PMS at the same time and let them loose on the enemy.
Absolutely. I say in the book, I think this might be on my website, thepinkmarine.com, in a snippet. I think there's something about this, but I say something like, you show all the government really had to do was shave my head, give me only green clothes to wear, put me in humidity, and then all they had to do was point me at the enemy, and I would wipe out millions of them at the same time.
Yeah. I want to go home. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. Okay, let's go home.
Green clothes. I did not know I was only going to get to wear green clothes the whole summer. And I showed up because I was going away for 3 months. I showed up with 5 suitcases packed.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding, Gail. I might need options. I'd never been away from home that long.
Oh, my God.
What if there were formal nights?
Ugh. Oh, my God.
Loaded.
I can't even imagine what they looked at you like.
Well, it was matching, so I'm sure they admired the luggage.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Son, do you really know where you're going? And once you sign that paper, your ass belongs to God. I mean, that's just the way it is.
It does. And, as you'll see in the book, we lost several recruits for different reasons. And sometimes they were just remanded to a different part of the base, to a different platoon. Not everybody goes home if they don't make it through initial training. Because just like you said, you have signed that contract. It's not a civilian contract. It's an agreement.
It's an agreement.
We fall under military laws, not civilian laws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Once you sign that, you can be, mustered out honorably if there's a physical problem that they catch and say, look, they can't do it. They're let out without a dishonorable. But it's a contract. You sign it, and like Teddy says, you're a prisoner of war for 3 months. one of my friends is in the Air Force, and he says, yeah, the Marines need 3 months because they have harder heads. But actually, the Marines use 3 months because they want to make sure that you're going to be the best product they can make. They are not in the business of sending people out to die. Like the Gunny says, God needs souls. It's our job to supply God with souls. That's the name of the game. And so, people get transferred, and they may even make them do basic over again.
That's right. And you do have to, they, like you just said, they have a job to do, and they have to make sure that it's done right. So if it takes more than one time, look, we do a lot of repetitive actions, whether it's push-ups or pull-ups or firing the rifle or marching on the parade deck. It's for a reason. They need you to be precise in every single thing you do.
Yeah.
But look at us today. You get to carry lessons that you've heard, that you've learned. I get to carry lessons. I was just on this other show in Miami talking about how there's not a thing that I don't, there's not a day that I don't use something that I learned in the Marine Corps in my everyday life.
Mm-hmm. You become very resourceful. The thing is, this has to be done. I have to do it. It's going to get done. So you become extremely resourceful. And that's not a bad thing. Unfortunately, a lot of kids go in like you did, and they don't understand they're going to be asked to, and Iona Trailer says, very interesting stories, Craig. It's Iona Trailer, Zachary is in there, so there's people listening, and there's people that aren't in the chat but are listening through the radio.
That's a great name, Iona. Thanks for. I hope you'll check it out. The book is available in all formats: paperback, hardcover, Kindle. If you go to my website, thepinkmarine.com, you'll see links to all the online retailers there. It doesn't cost you any more extra money. That's just a gathering place for you to click whatever is your favorite one, and you can download it or get it there. And please stay in touch, anybody out there that's listening, because if I come to a city near you, I want to meet you and talk to you face to face about it. And if I don't get to come to your city, please write me a note. Let me know your thoughts. Share your stories. The show's been optioned for the book has been optioned for a television series. And so, please share your stories. I like your son's Jesus hair story, Gail. You may see that on TV.
Yeah, he had hair down to his arse, and I said, "You're not going like that." He says, "I'm going to show them who I am." I says, "Oh, they're going to love you. They're going to love you."
He was probably called Jesus till the day he graduated.
Yes. Jesus Christ is sitting right over there. Go tell your troubles to Jesus, son. Matt said, I was never so happy to get that hair off. It is what it is. So your mother was like, no. So you go into the service, you get out of, you failed the weight test. So what happened? Did they make you go through a special course to build you up?
No, I had 8 days before we were shipping out. Again, I enlisted on the buddy system with my best friend, and so he had 8 days before he was shipping out. So they said to me, if you can gain the weight in those 8 days, you can go. And I'd never gained a pound in my life. So for those 8 days, I ate and ate and ate and ate. I ate heavy foods like bananas and peanut butter sandwiches and big hunks of cake, anything that looked heavy, chicken fried steak. And so at the end of that 8 days, I weighed in, and I was still shy 3 pounds. Yeah. Now, that I went in, so you're going to have to read about what I did to get past that last obstacle.
Yeah, it's thepinkmarine.com, and it's Greg White has written this book, and it's about being gay and not knowing what the hell you were doing, joining the United States Marine.
You're right, Gail. You say a lot right there with that, not knowing what I was doing. There was a bigger problem for me that was dual fold. First off, I moved around a lot as a kid, so I didn't have any sense of permanence. I didn't feel like I personally belonged to anybody or to anything.
Yeah.
But then secondly, society at that time had no gay heroes. Everybody was telling me, anything that I saw was telling me that my basic nature was wrong. So
Right.
I didn't know what kind of a chance I stood, and I definitely didn't feel super manly. I didn't have a hairy chest. I didn't have a mustache. I didn't have a deep voice. I thought there's nobody, I don't look like a typical man, what's represented as a masculine man. So I didn't know
Right.
where I was going to fit in physically. And then sociologically, I saw no one else that felt like I did inside represented on film and on television and sports. Today, it's in to be out. But back then, it wasn't. So
No.
I don't know, look, I don't know that joining the hypermasculine Marine Corps was the place to try to figure that out, but it worked out. And they were able to build me up and teach me how to accept myself and to be not just the best person that I can be, but the best person that I can be among anybody else.
Right. You're talking about a time in our history, 1960, Spartacus, the movie Spartacus was out.
Spartacus.
Yes, and Tony Curtis had a part where he had to play with, what's his name, Olivier. And Olivier says, he'll be my body boy. And they actually cut it out of the film because it's a gay scene. And Sir Laurence Olivier is asking him, do you prefer snails to oysters, which was code for male or female, And they originally cut it out. I think it's back in now. You can buy it, because back then the censors wouldn't have tolerated that. And I can't think of his name. Great director, but he was like the writers were trying to work in code, and he's saying, it's immoral, and Tony Curtis is saying, no, sir, and he's kind of like trying to find out, do you go for my snail or not, and so it's, like I said, it's always been in the service. You've got guys that are out pillaging the countryside. They don't go home for 2, 3, 4 years back in the dark ages, and after a while, you
got urges. You got
to do it. Yeah, I'm trying to be delicate about this, but nature, demands attention.
Nature calls, and some people just go ahead and answer that phone.
Yeah, so it's not something that's wrong or God has been aware of this. He's been aware it's been going on, and he hasn't blighted the world yet, so I'm pretty sure he's okay with it.
Too.
Yeah, yeah, he made us all. He made Charles Manson, like it or not, there's a bit of that little spark in everybody, So your family, your mother is, okay, you're in the service. You put on the weight, you get shipped out, and then what happens?
I am totally in shock for the first probably 96 hours. The recruiter, when I was meeting him, was this super nice guy. He was
they'll kiss your ass in Bamberger's window to get you to sign that paper.
He was like a car salesman.
Oh, yeah.
When I got there and I pulled up on that bus and those guys stormed on that bus to scream at me, I actually didn't get off the bus. I sat there and everybody else got off the bus. I sat there and I thought, what the hell are they talking to me like that for? Nobody told me anybody was going to be rude. Well, just like your son found out with the hair, I only lasted another split second before they got me off that bus. But I certainly was not expecting the world that I entered. I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know anything. It's probably better because I didn't go with any preconceptions. I gave up my rights and my freedoms to be an individual, sort of, in order to become the individual that they needed me to do because they were paying me, by the way. They paid me a salary. And if anything, I'm going to be a damn good employee. And I certainly, it's an odd job because your boss is always yelling at you that you're doing a bad job.
Yeah.
But thank God I had Marine Corps drill instructors as my first boss, my first job in the world, because no one's ever going to be a rougher boss.
No. And that's something that there are other countries that require their young men, and now in some of them the women, to serve in the military for 2 years. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, because you're right, life sucks. And there is, what is it he says in Ghostbusters? You haven't worked in the private sector.
Right. And everybody, I do agree that compulsory education is a great thing, and it helps a lot of people in a lot of countries staff their military, and it definitely builds character in certain environments. I don't know if we're ever going to have that.
I don't think we'll ever have it.
Need it.
No.
I realize our world situation today isn't forecasting world peace any day soon. But
no.
I certainly would love to think that one day we certainly didn't need to fill a quota and send our young men and women over to die.
Yeah, everybody says, the draft. Well, when the enrollment falls to a certain percentage, a country has to defend itself. And then that's when drafts are created. As long as there's people enrolling in the service, we won't need a draft. When Lincoln started the draft, the first place he did it was 5 Points in New York, where the Irish were. They were the first ones.
Right.
Yeah. And that's how most Irish got their citizenship in this country, by going into the military.
It's a great job. It's a great, with the social services, with the veterans benefits and home buying and student loans and student grants, on top of just a wonderful experience. There are some great programs that are offered, and it is a good job for people. If that's an option for you, take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you're in, you can take night courses for free at the local colleges, and while you're downtime, you can get your degrees, for different things. And that's what you're doing it for. You're investing in something. And I don't think people understand that you don't get anything without working for it.
Well, you're also going to get an absolute invaluable credit to put on your resume. There is nothing more than I'm proud of when I turn my resume to someone than that other skills or education that has the Marine Corps history on it. And for people out there that are listening that have jobs and that are hiring, I certainly hope that those veterans' resumes float to the top, because you're getting people with a whole different level of experience and knowledge and training and dedication. And like you said, look, I want an employee that's been through hell, because I know that they can take on any situation and task that they're going to be, and I'm going to be that employee. So job givers out there, pay attention to those veterans' resumes. Float them to the top.
Yeah, when both my sons were in basic, they both got cornered by their drill instructors, and they went in different times. There's a 9-year difference between them, and it was just funny because Matthew said, "Yeah, my drill instructor says, 'Aren't you afraid of me, son?' And my Matthew says, 'Sir, you haven't met my mother.'" and then 9 years later, my Andrew is in there, and this drill instructor is screaming at him, and he's in his face. He says, "You better be afraid of me, boy." And he says, "Sir, you're not my mother." And it's just funny because, Teddy was a Marine, so he always, Saturday morning, it's get up, do this, do that. It's something you carry inside you your entire life.
It is, and I'm happy that your son had that that point of reference from his upbringing to go into basic training with. As I said, as you know you'll clearly see from the book that I knew nothing. And I always felt, because I had moved around so many times as a kid, I always felt that everybody else had a leg up and everybody else had more inside information than I did, because I was constantly the new kid at school. I was always, in 10th grade, I went to 3 different schools. So when I got to the military, I met a lot of people that had a family history, a lot of guys that had been through ROTC or their brothers had just been in. They knew all the lingo already. My own best friend had been to the Air Force Academy for a year before he joined the Marines. So I definitely felt like I didn't have all the information, and I was constantly playing catch up, but I was kind of used to it. And there were plenty of guys that had no information either.
Yeah. You have other sites too. Eat, Greg, Eat.
Yes, that's my blog. You mentioned cooking on television. I write a food blog called Eat, Greg, Eat. I write comedic, funny stories. A lot of them involve food. A lot of them don't. And over the past year, or 2 years, I've started cooking on television too. I did a reality show where I cooked for Mark Burnett, and I I created a restaurant, or a burger for the restaurant Chili's, and then Food Network found me from my blog as well, and they have me currently on their show called Unique Sweets, where I get to travel around and the world and eat great desserts and talk about it.
I watch some of these shows, and I look at some of the food and say, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. That looks disgusting. Have you ever seen something and went, I'm not touching that?
You mean that I'm being paid to eat on television?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. There are things that I've been very blessed with those situations. As far as the food that I write about, I have my Eat Greg Eat site, and then I have Go Greg Go, which is a hotel and restaurant review site. I'm not a food critic. I'm a food writer. My life is too precious, and there are too many talented chefs and people that own restaurants that are creating great, amazing food, and they're working hard. I celebrate those people. I'm not a food critic. I'm not a Yelp person. I'm not going to tell you that I just had the worst meal of my life at blah blah. I'm not going to celebrate that place. I'm not going to bring any attention to that place. I want to spend the time that I have on this earth celebrating the people that are doing great things and making great food. And I'm just one fork, but I definitely want to celebrate these talented people out there. The restaurant business is really hard, and it is not my journey.
It is a brutal business.
Something isn't bad. Yeah, and I've had plenty of bad meals, of course, but I'm not going to waste my time writing about it. And you don't need to know about it. I'd rather tell you about a fantastic new place that opened up. And I mean, it's a hard business.
It is. You look at even some of these shows, and I think, God, like your thing says you're a glutton for punishment. I look at some of these chefs and these like cook-offs and stuffs and the desserts where they're fighting each other and people are crying. I'm like, what the hell? Go get a loan for $10,000. What are you putting yourself through this for?
On that show, on the menu, at one of the stages of competition, I had to make 60 of my burgers, which involved a cheese-filled, tempura-battered, deep-fried, blistered and skinned poblano pepper. Then the burger, then 3 sauces. I had to make 60 of those in an hour. Thank God I've been in the Marines.
Yeah. If there's one thing you learn, it's how to do something really fast.
And consistently good. And so that is, the food writing and all that is a pleasure for me. I'm thrilled. Look, Food Network, when they reached out to me from my blog, I was more than excited. That is incredibly humbling and exciting at the same time to walk into those offices in New York. And so we'll see what I do next with them.
Okay. The other one I wanted to talk is you're involved with the Good Men Project.
Yes,
the conversation no one else is having.
Yes, I love that magazine.
It is. It's good.
It's good. When they approached me, I was really excited to write for them. I was already contributing to the Huffington Post. That's where I'm off to tonight, by the way. And so I was already contributing there, and I love them, and I love my editors there. But the Goodman Project has a bigger mission. They're showing people that might not have access to it examples of how to be a better man through stories and writing. So my military background was a good fit to tell some of those stories.
Yeah. I was looking it over today, and it tackles a lot of, divorce after the divorce. And, and I'm not yeah, I am being flippant, actually. People would say to me, I don't think gays should marry. And I say, why not? Let them have to pay a lawyer to get rid of an asshole the same way I had to.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be careful what you ask for. All
Yeah,
and the responsibilities.
Yeah, let them end up. Yeah, I says, why not? I says, what is the difference? They're living together anyway, so let them get married. And I says, as soon as they pay a couple of lawyers for divorces, they'll be like me. I'm never getting married again. I've been happily married for 40 years, but I was married once before, and I swore I'd never do it. And this time, I mean it. I'm going to die in the saddle, and that's it. I'm not getting married again. Why go for chopped meat when you've had steak,
Oh, that is a great testament. I love that loyalty. Just like, you may be married to a Marine, but you'd make an awesome Marine yourself, because that sort of loyalty is what our motto is. Always
That's
faithful.
It. Yeah. Yeah. It's been wonderful talking to you. I know you have to dash off. I'm going to play some music for the last hour for...
play some music. I sent you a few songs to play. I hope
Yep, some of your favorite songs. So
Yes.
please tell everybody where your site is, where they can find book. And do you sign books? Because
I
somebody's
do
going to
sign
want a signed book.
Yes, if you need a signed book, there is a place on my website, thepinkmarine.com. There's a contact me. If you just send me that request, there's a way that we can organize it where I'll send you a book that's autographed.
That's very cool.
It's a pleasure for me to sign the book. That is the highest honor, because I feel a connection like no other right then.
That's wonderful.
Pinkmarine.com. If it's in bookstores as well, but I realize most people are shopping online. People are listening to us right now online. So
yeah.
I love independent bookstores, but I'm also happy to celebrate Barnes & Noble and Amazon and IndieBound and all those great websites.
Yeah, Iona is saying bye. It was very nice to meet you.
Thank you for listening.
I hope I get to meet you in person, too. Are you going to be up in New Jersey anytime soon?
I would love to. That would be such an honor to meet you in person, and I love to come down to the shore.
I don't know. Sandy almost took it all out, but there's still some shore here.
There's still some shore there. I know, and you guys have done a great job of rebuilding. I had a dear friend who just passed away who was a big... she was from the area, and she spent all of her time. She was on a television show. She spent a lot of her time raising money for victims of Sandy up until even last year. So I think you guys are resilient, and nobody's going to keep you guys down. Jersey people are tough. You've got those.
We're
awesome
the immigrant
tomatoes
state
in the summer. I love.
Yeah, we're the immigrant state. You came on Ellis Island, or you came in the Philadelphia in the port there, and you just ended up in New Jersey. That's how it works, So they're a tough people. They're from tough people. That's the amazing thing.
And they're readers. So I want all of those Jersey people to get out there and get this book.
Book.
I love your exposure, and thank you for having me on the show. It's pinkmarine.com. Read it. Send me notes. Write your reviews on Amazon. Share your stories with me. Let me know what's going on. Let me know when you laugh. Let me know when you cry.
Okay.
And I can't wait to talk to you again, Gail.
Okay. God bless you. A happy Easter. Whatever you celebrate, happy.
You as well. I'm going after those eggs.
There you go. Bye-bye. That was wonderful. I apologize because I didn't realize he was going to have to leave early because he has something with the Huffington Post going on. But I'm going to play some promos, and then one of his favorite songs is Rachel Platten fight song. So I'm going to do a commercial, and then Rachel Platten, the fight song. So you're listening to Mo Banshee's Lair and Mo Banshee's Music Box tonight. I'm going to try to see if I can load some Easter music in too, because it is the Holy Weekend. And we want to inspire you. But please check out that book, thepinkmarine.com. It's funny. Talk about a kid not knowing what the hell he's doing, but his best friend's going in the Marines, so he's going in the Marines. And like Teddy said, it's like being a prisoner of war for 3 months, and then suddenly you get the idea that you're a part of something so much bigger. And that's the whole point of basic training. So I'll be right back. I'm over the moon. My guest tonight is Bob Greenberg. This is a free record. Yes. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, himself, as we say in the Irish, Eddie Benitez. Welcome to the Lair.
Thank you.
Yeah. How you doing?
Hello.
Hello, Sarah Karloff?
Yes, hi. How are you, Mo?
I'm fine. Welcome to the Lair.
Terry Soto, Captain Celluloid from the movie TV conventions that he holds in New York. Welcome to my lair.
Hello, Mo. Thank you for having me back.
And our guest, Arch Hall Jr., aviator, musician, author, and everything else. I think you walk on water. Welcome to my lair.
Well, thank you, Mo. Thank you. It's good to be on with you tonight.
Michael Patrick Boatman, welcome to Mo Banshee's Lair.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
This is Mo inviting you to listen to my show, Mo Banshee's Lair. We feature a variety of topics, A to Z, and guests, all kinds of guests. Mo Banshee's Lair, Tuesday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern on DreamStreamRadio.com. And I'll see you, my pretties.